All right, so this story is called The Garden, the Curtain, and the Cross. So forgive me if I'm paying more attention to showing the picture to the kids than to you guys out there. But I want you to listen because some of you may not know the story of Easter, even though you think that you do. And again, like I said, sometimes a children's story just explains it in much better words for me to understand. Okay? You already read it? Okay, we're doing it again. A very long time ago, right here in this world, there was a garden. In the garden, everything was wonderful. The world was full of laughing and playing and smiling and fun. There was nothing bad, ever. There was no one sad, ever. And best of all, there were turtles. He said there are turtles. I like turtles. Anyone else? Best of all, toidles. Best of all, not turtles, God was there. And second best thing was turtles. So he made it all. He was in charge of it all. He loved it all. People could see God and speak to God and just enjoy being with God. It was wonderful to live with God, but then one day, the people did a terrible thing. They decided that they didn't want to do what God said. They decided they wanted a world without God in charge. God calls this sin, and we talked about in class, what's another way of describing sin? Yeah. Well, no, we call it missing the mark. Okay? God calls this sin. Sin spoils things. So sin has no place in God's wonderful garden. God said to the people, you can't live in my garden anymore. And he sent them outside. To show the people they had to stay outside, God put some warrior angels in the garden. The angels were like a big keep out sign. Now, things were sometimes bad, and people were sometimes sad. But people still kept sinning, missing the mark, because they didn't want God to be in charge. So no one could come into God's wonderful place. God said, because of your sin, you can't come in. God wanted people to remember it's wonderful to live with him, but because of your sin, you can't come in. So he told the people to build a special building called his temple, where he would be. In the middle of the temple was the most wonderful place in the world, the place where God was, where nothing bad and nothing sad happened. It was very exciting. But then God told the people to put a big curtain around this wonderful place. The curtain had pictures of warrior angels on it. It was, again, like a big keep out sign. For hundreds of years, the temple curtain reminded people that God said, it's wonderful to live with him, but because of your sin, you can't come in. If we ended it there, it would be a very sad ending. Hold on, you gotta hold your question. You can ask me in class. Babies become grown-ups and had babies, and those babies became grown-ups and had babies, and those babies became grown-ups and had babies. Hundreds of summers and winters passed by, and the keep-out curtain stayed in the temple. Then one day, God the Son came to live in this world as a person. He was called Jesus. So this little thing that looks like a chicken nugget, it's baby Jesus. Delicious. Jesus always did what God said. Jesus never sinned, and Jesus visited the temple where the keep-out curtain was hung. Jesus knew that things were sometimes bad and sometimes sad. Jesus said that God had sent him to open the way back to God's wonderful place, where there would be nothing bad and no one sad. But people still didn't want to let God be in charge. They decided to put Jesus on a cross to die. Let's put those back. Put them back, please. It was the most bad thing that had ever happened. It was the most sad day of all time. But Jesus had a plan. He always planned to die on the cross. What a strange plan. Why would God's son plan to die? Thank you. Oh. On the cross, Jesus took our sin, all the bad things that we do, and all the sad things that they cause. Jesus took them all from us. And when he did, something amazing, astonishing, astounding happened. Turtles. The curtain tore. God had ripped up the keep out sign. God's wonderful place is open again. Because Jesus died, we can go in. After Jesus died, his friends put him in a tomb. They were very sad. For 2 days, nothing happened. Then, the next morning, Jesus' friends went to see his body in the tomb. And it wasn't there. Hold on, Jackson. One second. A little later on, Jesus' friends were all together, and suddenly Jesus was there, alive. Suddenly, his friends weren't sad. Now, they were so happy. God had brought Jesus back to life so that he could live in God's wonderful place forever. Hold your question. And Jesus has sent everyone an invitation to come and live with him there too. He tells us, God says it's wonderful to live with him. Because of your sin, you can't come in. But I died on the cross to take your sin. So all my friends can now come in. We can live with God forever. There will be nothing bad and no one sad. We will see God and speak to God and just enjoy being with God, just as he had planned. It will all be wonderful to live with him, and it's all because of Jesus. We will say every day, thank you, King Jesus. You're amazing. And you can start saying that today. So we're going to have these kids pass out palm branches, if you guys don't mind. Pick up 1 or 2, each of you, and hand out to the congregation, and then we will go to class.